Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grow With Us. My name is Evan Barton, and I'm your host who helps create conversations with the innovators and leaders of a growing tech center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The Grow With Us podcast highlights in Tulsa Talent's work of bridging Tulsa talent with tech opportunities and the revolutionary work around the city. In Tulsa's mission is to connect talented individuals and companies to stimulate economic growth in Tulsa and to create more prosperous communities across the region. Each episode, Grow With Us discusses the growth of opportunities, the growth of communities striving for change, or the tech and innovation that is changing the landscape of Tulsa. On this episode of Grow With Us, we are in conversation with Gloria Arias, the Diversity Outreach Manager at the Tulsa Community College Outreach Center. We discuss Gloria's work and programming at the Education Outreach Center, access to scholarships to Tulsa Community College regardless of citizenship status, and the importance of connecting with the Latinx community in Tulsa. In this episode, Gloria answers some of the questions twice, once in English and once in Spanish. This recording was made with consideration for folks that are learning English as a second language and to help listeners who would understand the information provided in Spanish. I'm joined today by Gloria Arias. Thank you so much, Gloria, for being here. I'm really excited for this conversation.
Muchas gracias. Thank you so much for having me here.
Gloria, this is going to be a really interesting and fun conversation for us to have. I wanted to kind of start off at the top like I do with a lot of my episodes and kind of explaining how we got connected. I was able to get connected to you through a mutual connection of ours and former guest on the podcast, Brooke Randalls. She connected us, and I'm really excited for this conversation. I think Brooke has spoken very highly of you, and I'm really excited to share some of the work that you've been doing in the community.
Oh, thank you. I hope I will honor what Brooke had said about me. Thank you.
Yes, you will for sure. Gloria, go ahead and give us an introduction of yourself and tell us your story in whatever way you feel comfortable.
Well, thank you. Yes, I came to Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1994. It's been a while already. I wasn't sure what to expect. When I look into a map in Mexico City, I am from Mexico City, and find okay, the map has a dot. That means that it's the city. So then I came to Tulsa, and I couldn't believe it. It's just a beautiful city with a lot of space, green, and just fell in love with the city. When I came here, there were not many Latino people. So when I found the restaurants very quickly in Tulsa, and I went around, and every time when I met somebody who spoke Spanish, I just talked with them, and it was nice. However, nowadays, it's amazing, right? Now you can actually learn Spanish from the people who live here in Tulsa because we have a lot of Latinos. So I am very thankful for that. And the city is very welcoming, especially I feel it now, So I think that people who are coming to Tulsa from other states or from other countries, they are coming at the right time. At the right moment. There are a lot of job opportunities and a lot of opportunities to go to school for everything. So when I came here, I have to work on my education. I didn't have but just basically high school. I was so lucky to be hired by Tulsa Community College. It's the place where I've been working for almost 23 years. And it's been a blessing of a place to work for. When I joined the college, I knew that I have to work on my education. Being there, it was easier for me. It was easy to learn how. First of all, I start with my Spanish certificate. That was the easiest thing for me to get because since I speak Spanish. But then it's my supervisor, I had a wonderful supervisor that she said, you need to get your associate's degree. Okay, what is an associate's degree? Mm-hmm. I have no idea because our education in Mexico we don't have colleges like this, 2 years of the university, So I have to understand, really took me some time to learn how the system works here. And then also you have to pay for it. So in Mexico.
It is not free.
Higher education in Mexico, if you attend to a public university, you really don't pay anything. But here it took me a while, okay, so I need to pay, how much I need to pay. So, but I started and then got my associate's degree, and then she said, you have to go to the university. So I wanted to do my bachelor's degree in Spanish, which was the easiest and, quickest degree to obtain since I speak Spanish. And so I had a chance to go to either TU or NSU and to Tahlequah. I didn't have to think twice, not having resources. So I was driving. I drove to Tahlequah for 2 years, but get my bachelor's degree in Spanish, and I just love it because then I've been able to teach Spanish at the college, and then I continue with my education there at NSU with I got an international business degree. Then of course it's not enough to teach at the college level, so I did get a master's degree in Spanish education and also an MBA. So those degrees, it's been a wonderful decision that I made because that allowed me to do the different things in the college. I work full time at the office on 22nd and Garnett, the Education Outreach Center, helping mainly the Hispanic community. But I also get to teach. I am teaching right now Introduction to Business classes, and in the past I have taught Spanish classes as well. So that is that makes your job really interesting when you can do different things as you do also. Yeah,
that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love your pathway and your journey in education. I think it's non-traditional, but it should be more traditional in the sense that like you can come to school at any time. That is what higher education is meant to serve the community at any point in your life, at any point when it becomes an option for you. So I really love hearing your journey, and thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. It hasn't been easy, especially because of the language, So when I came here, I was already over 30 years old. So to learn a language when you're over that age is not that easy because you already you want to have an explanation for everything when you are learning English, and the pronunciation is really difficult. So it has taken me a while to feel more comfortable. Yes, we can learn it. We can learn the language and we can communicate with people. That's the goal. And just pay attention every day to how people pronounce things. But it's been a journey, just learning the language.
Yeah, no, and I commend language learners so much. It like you mentioned, it's so difficult to even embark on a journey of learning another language. I was a French minor in my undergrad, and I feel like I spent a lot of time, like practicing and understanding what the language sounded like in a classroom setting. But the classroom setting is like only one setting in which you use the language. Yes. So I don't have like barely any conversational skills in speaking French, which means my full comprehension of the language is not very high.
But if you read it, I bet you probably understand a lot. And then if you learn French, learning Spanish will be easier actually because the grammar structure is very similar.
Yes, one of these days I will be trilingual.
Sure. Come to TCC.
Exactly. You feel free to introduce yourself again in Spanish if you'd like.
Sí, soy Gloria Arias y soy de la Ciudad de México. Llegué a Tulsa, Oklahoma en 1994 y cuando tuve oportunidad de asistir al colegio, al Tulsa Community College, me contrataron para trabajar y empecé a estudiar. Obtuve un certificado en español y posteriormente me fui a la Universidad de NSU en Tahlequah, donde pude obtener la carrera de la licenciatura en español. Y después en Broken Arrow estudié la licenciatura de negocios internacionales. Posteriormente obtuve mi maestría en español para poder enseñar en el colegio y también la carrera de negocios que le llaman aquí en inglés MBA, Masters of Business Administration. Ya ahora me cuesta trabajo traducirlo al español, pero entonces esto me ha permitido trabajar en el colegio, en el Tulsa Community College y hacer diferentes actividades. Mi actividad principal es en la calle 22 y Garnett. Tenemos ahí el edificio de Outreach Center, el centro de alcance de educación del colegio, y ahí nosotros damos información sobre todo a los chicos hispanos para ingresar al colegio. Y también la educación me ha permitido enseñar clases de español, enseñar clases también de negocios en el Tulsa Community College.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So you mentioned in your introduction kind of your relationship with Tulsa, started, almost over 20 years ago, but how has that relationship changed over time? I can tell you a little bit about mine. I moved to Tulsa when I was 9 years old. Back in 2007, and I have seen the city change so much. I've primarily been approximated to the Midtown area, so kind of around like 31st and Harvard, but like I went to school in Midtown at Edison and then went to high school at Booker T. Washington. Worked in at a neighborhood pool at 31st and Memorial, kind of close to the Outreach Center. So Tulsa has been a place I've had a little bit of experience everywhere in, and I've seen a lot of those areas change over time. How is that? How have you seen Tulsa change?
I am impressed by the change, and I also feel like people who have lived in Tulsa, from this 20, 30 years ago and still living here, in Tulsa, I think it's an interesting change that you see how city is becoming more multicultural, diverse. Now you can find all sort of foods everywhere, events that where people get together, and I just love it. I love Tulsa when I came here first, but now I love it more. I just think that the diversity is always very makes the city more attractive, and also the job opportunities and the foundations that we have in Tulsa, the major in Tulsa. I just see that how hard he works to put this, to make immigrants welcome. So a lot of people have come from other states, not only immigrants, from people, Americans who have found a job here in Tulsa. So it's a place of opportunities. Yeah. Now I would say that.
No, I so share that sentiment, and I think I've seen that grow a lot more kind of in my past couple of times. I agree with you so much. I think that I've noticed over the past few years, like now that I'm in this professional world, seeing those job opportunities and being someone that is available, I guess, for those opportunities, or just have it on my radar, whether it's for other candidates or people that I know in my community. I've seen the opportunities grow a lot. You're not going to be just focused in one area and one sector in one part of town anymore. There is that kind of flexibility and opportunity for a lot of folks through a lot of other folks' hard work to create those opportunities, which is great.
Absolutely. And also because I have worked for, Tulsa Community College for more than 20 years, I have seen the change there as well.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I tried to take English classes there, I went, as soon as I came from Mexico City, I wanted to study English. I couldn't afford taking ESL classes there because they would charge me out of state tuition. Or wow. I have to get my visa, like F1 visa, for international students. So you have to prove that your income is really high, that that you are basically, you don't have any economical issues. So I just couldn't take English classes at TCC. But now it's so easy because anybody can take classes there. There is no that requirement. And it's just helpful because, yes, it's, we live in Tulsa where most people speak English. And so we need to learn English, but also it's an opportunity, of course, for people who speak only English and want to learn Spanish. Then practice with us. We will be happy to help you.
No, that's amazing. I love that you pointed out that like accessibility change over time because it's so important. And I hope that we continue that trend. It needs to be language is our form of communication. And I think for a really long time, and this is just my personal opinion, I feel like for a really long time, we undervalued the education of language, and creating more opportunities for that is so important. I mean, the fact that I have neighbors in Tulsa and people in my community that I would love to communicate with, and I have to take it on myself to say I can't communicate with them, not just they can't communicate with me, if that makes any sense. It is a two-way street. Absolutely. When it comes to language acquisition.
And when you travel also, you enjoy more talking to local people, like a lot of people in Tulsa. I have met a lot of people who have gone to Cancun, to the southeast area of Mexico. And it's just nice if you get to talk to people there in Spanish as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've mentioned your work at the Education Outreach Center. I'd love to kind of talk more about your work there.
Sure.
Let's also talk about, if you know, too, like the history of the center and specifically where in town you're located.
Yes, that building is a small little building located on 22nd and Garnett next to Morelos store. And it was created that it was set there in 2007 to mainly help assist the Hispanic community who mainly live there, and also there is a Vietnamese community. So it was to have to offer access to people who live in those locations around the 21st and Garnett area, so they can get English classes, information about programs and certificates that we offer at TCC, and also get information in Spanish. So mainly people who work in that building, we speak Spanish there. So, and we provide all the resources and all the information about getting into higher education.
That's amazing. And I think the main, or one of the main points I want to touch on here is like the importance of being in the community. And I think that where you guys are located at 21st and Garnett is really a great example of being in the community in which you choose to serve. Because like you're saying, you primarily speak Spanish there, and of course there's access to English speakers too to kind of bridge that gap with the Vietnamese community. But being in the community where you are intending to serve and make that change is so important. And I love that you get to do this work in that community.
Thank you. And we have people who live in the area and don't drive. Mm-hmm. So it's very convenient for them to walk and then, take the ESL classes, for instance, there. We have English classes. We have had English classes all the time there. We also have a certificate bilingual child development certificate program that usually students take there. So it's been about 5 years that we have that certificate there. So it's very convenient for people to be able to get all the information in Spanish. And I will mention something super important. Sometimes we take things for granted. For instance, applying for financial aid. People who have grown here is something that they already know, but we don't. Especially, people who come from other countries, because it's not the system. So it's very nice that if you have somebody to explain you that in Spanish and telling you, you will need this, your tax income information, and other information that you will provide, so you can take classes there. So helping in the language is very important. And yes, the location, I usually say, it's a small building, but we do big things here.
Yes.
We, of course, we don't have all the areas that a main campus offers. However, we connect students with the area. We have we connect students with financial aid, with advisors, with anybody who they need to talk to. And the fact that we have, after the pandemic, something positive, if I can say that, brought among all the negative things that brought, but something positive is that now we are closer in the sense that we communicate through Zoom, through Teams, through any, internet connection. So it's now we can communicate, doesn't matter where we are located, basically. So that also helps us, because when a student comes to the outreach center, if we don't have the answer, then we connect the student with the area right there. So the student doesn't have to drive farther. So yes, we try to provide as much services as possible there. But the main thing has been assisting the Hispanic community. Most of the students who go there, or adults who want to get information, they speak Spanish. We have a few Vietnamese that have stopped by the area, but it's mainly the Hispanic community.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, that's amazing. I love that you touched on kind of the accessibility of the location, and even being walkable. I mean, it's actually something I'm really passionate about. And I hope that we can kind of see some direction change for that in Tulsa, because I want Tulsa to be more accessible in terms of whether it's walkability or like access to public transportation. It's something I don't know how I'm going to get involved in it, but I feel like I'm going to get involved in it someday.
Yes, and the Tulsa Global District is right now working really hard in that area to make things better there, so more accessible and changing the view but keeping also the tradition there. So it's getting the changes is happening as well.
Yeah.
So I hope you will get involved too.
Yeah, the Tulsa Global District is something I've been really wanting to talk about on this podcast. What's kind of your familiarity with it?
Well, there's Luisa. I don't want to mispronounce her last name, but I would say Luisa is the director of the program, and they are looking into what changes or how they can involve business owners in the area to keep the place, to keep the businesses that are there, but to make it safe there, to make it more like beautiful and enhance the area, basically, more accessible, provide more accessible to people who live in the area. And we are right there next to those Hispanic business. It's a very dynamic area. If you have never been there, go. I will invite you to go to the stores. The Mexican stores have all the Mexican products that you want to buy in Mexico. So it's the place is always full. And we also have right behind the Mexican store, there is the Vietnamese store, which is also huge. Yeah. So when I've been there at the restaurant or so, it's always a lot of people there. So it's very nice actually to go there. You will not get bored because there are not only stores and restaurants, but stores to buy things. So it's very nice, very interesting.
That's awesome. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the Global District is located off of Lewis and Utica by Admiral, so right off of 244. Where would you?
It's that the Global District is going to be on that area on 21st and Garnett. Mainly.
Oh, that's the Global District.
Yeah,
okay, thank you.
The Tulsa Global District is located in that area where they want to basically enhance and keep those businesses there.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And then I will provide you the information of Luisa because that would be great for you to speak with her and she can just give you the story behind and then all of the things that they are that have in mind. I mean, it's just amazing all of the things that they want to do there for the community. So I do appreciate it very much.
Yeah, and I think your work is directly related to what can keep the Global District alive in that sense. And so I'd love to kind of talk a little bit more about what you do at the Outreach Center. One of the things I wanted to touch on were the My Dream Scholarship and the America Reads, America Counts tutoring program. If you don't mind sharing some information about that.
Absolutely. So one of the responsibilities that we have is to provide information as far as financial aid information. So My Dream Scholarship is a scholarship funded by private foundations in Tulsa that help students who don't qualify for state or federal financial aid. So those students who cannot fill out FAFSA because they've been in the U.S. for not too long, or they are in the process of fixing their immigration status, so they can apply for this scholarship. This scholarship is for students who have been in high school in Tulsa or Rogers County for at least 2 years. They need to apply when they are in their 12th grade. They cannot skip one semester. They have to apply when, right there in high school, or other than that, they will miss the opportunity. And the benefit of this scholarship is that it pays for the school at TCC, basically tuition and fees for up to 3 years of 63 credit hours. And that scholarship also transfers to OSU Tulsa. It pays portion of the tuition there, but it's very, very helpful. We have a lot of success with the scholarship. This has been in place since 2011, so it's been over 10 years already. And usually this foundation accepts students, about 45 students per year, academic year. So part of my job is to follow them. I follow the students for 3 years, and hopefully they will not drop out from college, and they will complete their associate's degree and then go to OSU Tulsa. So it changes the lives of many students. I have seen them, starting at TCC, their degrees, and then now finishing the university is very impressive. And you see the potential of these students who sometimes maybe discouraged of not getting into college because they cannot apply to financial aid through FAFSA. But when you see them with this scholarship and you meet them after they graduate from OSU Tulsa, it's just amazing. It's just the opportunity that is for the students and for their families as well, because, their families also benefit of a student getting a degree.
Oh, that's amazing. And before you jump into America Reads, I just wanted to comment kind of how important that scholarship is. And one thing that I would say it is pretty similar to is the Tulsa Achieves program that I'm pretty familiar with through my mother, who's a college and career tech advisor. But this is a program, and you can correct anything that I say that might sound wrong. But it's essentially a program that helps connect high school students to 2 years of TCC for free. after the completion of their high school diploma.
Thank you for asking, because exactly this My Dream Scholarship tries to mirror the Tulsa Chiefs program. It's a gap funding program. So basically, students apply to FAFSA, and if FAFSA doesn't cover their tuition and fees, then the college will pay for their classes. So same requirements like My Dream. Students have to, come to TCC right after they graduate from high school. They cannot take one semester break, because sometimes the students say, I want a break, but no, you cannot have one yet. So it's a very, very helpful program, because then students don't have to worry about how will I pay for college, and parents don't have to pay also for that. So I would suggest students to come to TCC after high school, and there is not a deadline. Well, kind of, but not exactly like My Dream. Students, sometimes I have seen students applying when it's June, July, but students can apply before. Don't have to wait until they finish high school. Mm-hmm. So it's a very, very helpful program. All they have to do is, they have to have 2.0 GPA, live in Tulsa County. That's very important, though. Has to be Tulsa County. And also, if they have not lived for 4 years in Tulsa County, the Tulsa Chiefs pay is depending of the number of years. They can be paying 100% or 75% or 50% or 25%, depending of the number of years a person have been living in Tulsa. So if you don't live in Tulsa area, I would suggest you to move to Tulsa. So if you have students or if you're a student, that is going to finish high school, so you can take advantage of this wonderful, wonderful program. All the TCC asks for is that you complete 40 hours of community service per year, which is wonderful. Yeah. Students, when they go to any place, the food bank or Red Cross or with us to do the community service hours, they enjoy and learn as well. So they can also help nonprofit organizations. Any nonprofit in Tulsa that they want to learn more, they can do their hours there if they are accepted. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, it so is. I thank you for going into the detail on that. I really appreciate it. I think it's so important to talk about the importance of access to scholarships. And one thing I wanted to note too is that for folks listening that either qualify or know someone that might qualify, I think an important note about this is if Tulsa is your community and Tulsa is the place that you really like, I mean, this is the opportunity in which you get to stay and learn, and then also grow in a really important part of your life here in the city that, maybe your family is all here. You're really close to your community. That community of care is so important for that undergraduate experience, and something that, although I went to New Hampshire, way too far from Oklahoma. It was something I kind of craved when I was there. It was like, where are my people that I know that support me? Well, they're in Oklahoma. Of course, I'm here making a new community up in New Hampshire, but if that's a big leap for you, I think it's worth considering that opportunity here, where your family is, where people that support you are kind of already located.
Absolutely. And I think that we live in a city where we have, very generous donors as well. For instance, there is one program at TCC that is a child development program. The scholarship is called Bridging the Gap. Bridging the Gap, if you want to study to help kids, babies to toddlers or above, you can study at TCC basically also for free. And in this case, for the Bridging the Gap program, you don't have to be to apply after you graduate from high school. No, you can maybe become a mother, and then you say, I want to go back to school. And then you apply for that scholarship. It pays for everything. It pays for all the classes. It also pays for the books. So it's a great blessing, and it's just, paid by one foundation here in Tulsa. So it's wonderful because they, then these people, these professionals in the childcare will be helping other kids growing in Tulsa. So quite a great, honor to serve and to help those kids.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Also, go ahead and tell us a little bit about the America Reads, America Counts tutoring program, if you don't mind.
Sure. This program is a federal funding program. So what it is work study students, taking classes at TCC. They can apply for the tutoring program, and they get to teach math, and English, reading and writing to kids, to children, elementary school children. So we have about 25 children at the outreach center who come in the evening after school to receive tutoring services by one of our students at TCC. So to apply for this program, yes, you need to qualify for financial aid through the federal government, FAFSA. And then if you do qualify, then you can become one of our tutors. And it's a wonderful program because the kids sometimes don't have the time, or parents don't have the time to spend at least 50 minutes with the kids. And if you pay a tutor outside, it's about $25 an hour. So here is the service is free for the kids. And then so kids get to spend 50 minutes an hour with one of our tutors. And you may think, well, they are still students at TCC. We have the most talented students there. We have a nurse, for instance, a student getting, her nursing degree. We have a last semester air traffic controller there helping the kids. And it's so interesting because they also share with the kids not only reading, writing and math skills, but also they talk about their degrees. I have heard the tutors talking about, like the nurse was talking about the blood and how it goes through the veins and things like that. I was really paying attention because I was like, wow, that's super interesting. And the kid was asking these wonderful questions. And then the air traffic controller student that already graduated, he was talking about planes and the things that they have to control to the computer. And also the kid was fascinated. So I think it's very important also to expose kids to other, young students who are getting prepared for the workforce or just, getting ready to attend a 4-year institution.
Yeah, I love you use the word that I love to use constantly, and about exposure. Exposure is so important for, I think, opportunity development, how you can even see potentials. If you're exposed to it and you're able to see what someone else is doing, like maybe if I had been tutored by an air traffic controller, I would be directing planes right now. Like, you never know. And that can be even for like software engineering. Like that's another one that we've actually had that conversation on the podcast before, like how, for me personally, I didn't really know what coding was until probably college, like computer science. And that's so crazy. I'm someone that's of the digital age. I grew up and had a phone like half my life and didn't necessarily understand that you could get a job in doing something like that, and I think the point I'm trying to make here is that exposure is so important as kind of what you're saying, and getting kids at early age to see the potentials in themselves and kind of the paths towards that.
Yes, it is. We also have a student who was part of the orchestra at TCC. So he brought the violin several times. That was so beautiful because then the kids we were the audience. So they were, we were listening to this student playing the violin. So it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. So it's a joy having those kids in the program. And then you may wonder, how do we promote this? Only once I created a flyer and put it on Facebook. Only once. The program has been there for a few years, but in 3 days I didn't have any more spaces. So I have to, nowadays it's only word of mouth because we just don't have the capacity. So I would invite students to apply to become tutors at the Outreach Center to help us because we do have a lot of need. I know the schools do a lot of work, a lot of things, a lot of work. We also work with Reading Partners. So Reading Partners in the morning, they are helping students, very much. However, the need is still, so if you can help becoming a tutor, apply if you are taking classes at TCC, apply for the work-study program that is called ARAC, America Reads, America Count program, and then help those kids to be more successful at the school.
Yes, thank you so much. This is a great kind of segue into my last question for you, which I'm excited to hear your answer on. Kind of, what are some ways that folks, whether it's TCC students or even folks local to Tulsa in our respective communities, can help with the work of the Outreach Center's programming?
Well, there are different ways. One is if you want to volunteer and help the kids with math, reading, or writing, come come to us, and we will be happy to assign a kid to you, just like reading partners do, for volunteers that they want to help in the morning. So that will be one way to help kids. Also, you can help our English language learners. And you could actually learn Spanish. I sometimes suggest, what about if you do 30 minutes of Spanish and 30 minutes of English? And then you could be helping a student who is learning English. We can connect you with those students as well. So you are welcome to come to the Outreach Center, and also come and stop to get the information, what resources we have there. So you can share those with the community, because, we have, for instance, this scholarship. I wish everybody who could apply would apply, but they sometimes don't. Sometimes, time passes, and then the student comes and is like, I want to know if there is any opportunity for me. It's like, well, okay, tell me about yourself. And then they already skipped one semester. It's like from high school, after high school. So it's like, I'm very, very sorry. So it's very, very sad when that happened. So if we all together share the resources available for young people, it's always very, very helpful.
Yeah, that's amazing. And feel free to say something to that effect in Spanish as well.
Sí, si ustedes pueden ser voluntarios o desean ser voluntarios en el Outreach Center, pues vengan a visitarnos. Nosotros recibimos a personas que quieren ayudar a los niños a aprender a leer, a escribir, y también con matemáticas. Inclusive hay niños que quieren aprender español, porque algunos niños solamente hablan inglés ahora. Entonces, pueden hacerlo, y si toman clases en el TCC, en el TCC, pues vengan con nosotros para que puedan aplicar al programa de América Lee y América Cuenta. Pues nosotros lo decimos siempre en inglés, es un poco diferente cuando se dice en español, pero America Reads, America Counts. So, si están tomando clases en el colegio, pueden aplicar para ser tutores de niños y pueden ayudar a la comunidad. Otra cosa es que si ustedes desean practicar inglés, si están aprendiendo inglés, tal vez podemos conectarlos con miembros en la comunidad para que puedan practicar el inglés, o puedan ustedes compartir el español con la comunidad que quiera aprender español.
Thank you so much for that, Gloria. I have had an absolute pleasure talking with you today, Gloria. Thank you so much for being on this episode. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our Grow With Us audience? Any ways that folks can either get connected to you or to the work that you're doing at the Outreach Center?
Sure. Well, thank you. One more thing important, and I would like to say, for the Mexican community, we will have the Mexican consulate in Oklahoma City. And Tulsa, as I said, we're so lucky. For 4 years, the Mexican consulate has given us funds to help Mexican students in the summer. So that is that's incredible. I appreciate their help very much. So now we will have them, and they are part of our partners, basically. Another thing I'd like to say is just stop by the Outreach Center on 22nd and Garnett if you want to learn more about the programs that TCC offer. As I said, we may not have all the information, but we will connect you with the area. One thing that we do there, very important, is that if you want to complete your FAFSA form and you want help one-on-one, we can help you there. You don't have to speak Spanish for that. We would be happy to help you if you want to complete your FAFSA form to apply for financial aid and come to TCC.
That's amazing.
Sí, ustedes son bienvenidos a visitarnos en el Outreach Center. Si desean información sobre becas, sobre planes de estudios que tiene el colegio, requerimientos para entrar, ustedes pueden venir y les damos la información. Si no la tenemos, los ponemos en contacto con las áreas. También pregunten sobre las becas. Siempre tenemos becas para la comunidad. Si tienen hijos que van a llenar la forma de FAFSA y quieren ayuda 1-a-1, ayuda en persona en español, con mucho gusto nosotros los ayudamos. Así que vengan a la 22 y Garnett, y las dos personas que estamos ahí de tiempo completo hablamos español.
Thank you so much, Gloria. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for being on this episode.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for being on this episode of Grow With Us. And for our listeners of Grow With Us looking for new opportunities, please join our talent network to stay in touch with our future jobs and opportunities at InTulsa. You can visit our website, talent.intulsa.com. That's talent.intulsa.com. By joining our talent network, you will get access to our newsletter where you can stay up to date with our latest career advice, featured opportunities within Tulsa partner companies, and our placement success stories. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to be notified when more episodes of Grow With Us are released. Let us know what you think about how we're doing by rating and reviewing, and maybe sharing with a friend. Huge thank you to our editors at Rant9 Production and Jesse Ulrich. This has been Grow With Us.